Meep meep. Meep. Let me... Just remembered. Gotta put my phone on silent. And then... Ta-da! Howdy, everyone. Howdy, everyone. Yeehaw. And so forth and so forth. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing this fine Tuesday? I hope you're good. I'm alright. Had a pretty nice day. You know who isn't having a nice day? A certain little half-elf. She ain't having a good time. And I don't have anything good to talk about. Because if I start talking about something, we're going to be here for an hour at least. We're not going to get anything done. So, back to my segue. There's a little half-elf we got to talk about. She's not having a good time. In fact, I dare say she is presently having a bad time. Let's see here. We're at chapter 9, folks. All the way in chapter 9. Oh, 50 pages in. And we're at chapter 9. Teal has just vacated the market. And she is having a bit of a time. She's running around. She's confused. She's pretty scared. We're just gonna step right into it. This intro, this first four paragraphs. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. I hate it. I reread it with the most puzzled expression on my face. And it's weird when you're rereading something critically, you really notice how bad it is. It's really slapdash. There's no real elegance to it. I like the idea, right? Obviously, Teal needs to leave the market in a bit of a fuss. But there's really no space here. There's really no sense of what this seedy underbelly, this alleyway of the city is like. So that's got to be touched on for sure. There's just no sense of space here. There's no sense of setting. Where is Teal right now? And I get the idea here is that she's not really concerned about her surroundings. Which is good, right? She wouldn't be. But once again, we come to the issue of we need to build setting here without interfering with Teal's agenda. Her agenda is running away from the terrors, the problems. Right, we need to kind of dwell on how shabby this place is, this general sense of eeriness, the dinginess of the alleyway here. And we can incorporate that in a good sense of exacerbating what Teal is currently feeling. She's in this heightened state. She's fearful. She doesn't really she's not fearful in the sense of I did a wrong thing, but she's definitely in that mindset of oh no, did I do a wrong thing? I don't want to stay around here to find out. Likewise, on that note, I'm saying, yeah, Teal, we need to get in on her panic. But I don't really talk about how Teal's feeling here. I don't mention it. I mentioned she's confused and paranoid. I don't really get into that. She just I'm just talking about how she wants to get out of here. Okay, that's one way of doing it, but I don't think it's a good way. um, she should be thinking here. She should be feeling. She should be fretting, generally, as one does. And there's just none of that. She's just mindlessly running, which I get is a vibe. There's like narrative weaving in here, like, oh, of course she wouldn't be thinking. She's running. She's panicking. We don't know that. She's just running. We gotta touch on these things. She's running, and then she finds a weird tent, and she's like, great, good spot to hide. What? You're telling me we get to understand how she feels in like two pretty crappy paragraphs? What was I thinking? Two pretty crappy paragraphs that both just boil down to, Teal is running away. Oh no. I digress, right? I think a good way to solve this conundrum is to break this introduction into segments. Teal should leave, right? She slinks away. She is upset. She's fretting. She's panicking about the situation. She's concerned, right? Within that, she's concerned about her amnesia. She's trying to remember things. She's just all sorts of odds and ends discombobulated together. And then there should be a beat where she hears something, right? We need something to kind of spur her on. So I don't think it's wise for Teal to just bolt out of the market. I think she should kind of like, she's had this moment of bolting. She barreled past people. She pushed some of them over. She slinks into the alleyway, and she has this moment of hesitation within this first segment of the alleyway, which I should really describe as like, she pulls into the alleyway. She pulls into this crevice between two buildings, and she just kind of like, has a little panic attack there. And in that moment, right, to spur her on, she needs something, so she probably hears someone calling for a guard. And that alone, right, given her state, she's like, okay, well, I don't want to mess with that. I'm going to keep running this way as opposed to going back where I came from. Thus, we get her into the alleyways, into this other segment of the city. In a state in which she is going to propel herself towards the next story beat, right? So we don't really need to we don't need to add a lot. I mean, we do need to add some. We don't need to completely remove the structure of this introductory bit, but we definitely need to remodel it pretty much from the structure outward, because really it's only the structure here that's good, and honestly the structure needs a few more support beams, because we need to build some better ideas here that are going to help Teal forward in this chapter, because right now it's just silly. Why does she just run? That doesn't make sense. I mean, it does make sense, but it's very primitive, it's very basic, and we can do a lot more. We can do a lot more here that will help Teal going forward and the book overall. Let's see here. Right, so we talked about how she should be in this segment thinking about her amulet. This is a great time to do it, right? We can have it in the jumbled state of her current being. It can just be a part of that, right? She's dealing with her amnesia. She's trying to reconcile with the fact that she failed at market. She didn't do it. She failed at capitalism. She's got this amulet that she's really just learning about. She feels connected to it. She feels like it's important. Why is it important? Why does she feel weird? Why does she feel bad? Why does she feel like she just did something wrong, even though she was the one who was accosted by a mob? Why does she feel guilty? Why does she feel poor? Is this how poor people feel? It is, by the way, can relate, but that's neither here nor there. This is where we can hook in little tidbits about Teal, get some lore going while she's manic, while she's in this heightened state. I do mention here at the end that her reasoning for going into the tent at the end is totally fine. Yeah, it makes perfect sense that she's like, scared? Weird tent? Sure, I'll hide there. That, whatever. It's silly, but it works. It's very on brand. We need her to get to the Oracle, right? And this is a good spot to do it. Because this place is weird, right? The wherever is weird. And there would just be a random tent in the alleyway, and like an alleyway, like a green space or a common area. It's good. We just need to give the sense of where Teal is going a better trajectory, and give her some time to do some internalizing. And some more panicking and some more feeling, and like build her a little more, because we're still building Teal here, right? Like I said, we're only 50 pages in. We're still getting to know Teal. So that later on, when I stop getting to know Teal and I start being weird with other ideas, and Teal starts being weird, it's more impactful. But right now we're not building Teal very well. We forgot to put part G03 into socket H31, right? We forgot a step. I was building a cat stand today, and my mind's on building things. Teal's just an android, by the way. That would be one heck of a twist. Anyways, getting off topic. Right. So Teal, we can scoot past this first bit. Teal bumbles into the tent, and wham! Right away, she meets the Oracle. The Oracle says, we've been expecting you. And honestly, I love that. I love the Oracle. I love that the Oracle is just a big weirdo. The Oracle is just front and center, kind of creepy, and Teal doesn't shy away from it. Which I think is bad. The Oracle here is lovely. They would absolutely lead in with a comment of like, oh yeah, I've been expecting you. I'm the Oracle. Of course I've been expecting you. Yeah, go ahead and have a seat, right? Teal should be a little more standoffish, given her current situation, given her how she feels right now, right? Maybe she even reaches for her dagger. Like she's in kind of a fight or flight mode right now, right? And we're signaling to readers through little hints like this that maybe Teal is a little messed up, right? Not in the sense that like, she's a murderer. I have here written that, yeah, we want to signal that she's capable of using a weapon, but that, maybe there have been things in Teal's past that were maybe not good. We need to build this idea that maybe Teal is a flawed individual, as we all are. So that's one way of doing it. That's an idea. I think it'll probably get put in here because it's just good, ? By good, I mean I need more references to her dagger, and this is a good one where she feels like threatened by a weird voice from behind her. Even though, to think about it logically, you're running into a tent, girl. You're going to find somebody. People don't just put up tents in the alleyway and like weird spiritual, occult-looking tents. So that's something we can do, right? We need to rewrite Teal here as being a little more defensive. That's all. Just a little more hostile, a little more at odds. The Oracle, whatever, they can just, water off their back. They're just like, okay, whatever. I knew you'd do that. Haha. Just something silly like that. The Oracle just plays it cool. Who knows? They come in here and I start doing this. I take a weird route with this chapter because I had been feeling like some of the book had been becoming formulaic. So at this point I wanted to take a new approach. And with this chapter, we meet the namesake right away, and then the scene is built. which is a reason why these first paragraphs are so bad. Is because I know me in the past was thinking, okay, we just have to get to the tent. We have to get to the tent, and then I can build the scene. But in doing that, I forgot to set up the first part. So the first part is just like doesn't really exist, which is bad. But we get to this, right? Teal's in the tent. Teal's talking to the Oracle. They offer her a seat, and Teal finally starts calming down, which is fine, right? She notices a bunch of things, but importantly, she notices the scent of incense. That would be something that's really important for Teal. Right now, she just kind of thinks of, like, she's vaguely reminded of rites and ceremonies. That's not enough. We need to dig into that a little more. She is really frazzled right now, so it's important that we find a balance here between her being a little put off, trying to calm down, but also just being struck by really dumb bits of her past that aren't relevant right now. But one does not get to decide when one remembers things, nor what one remembers. So unfortunately, yeah, she's like, oh, incense, okay, that reminds me of this one time we were kneeling at an altar or something, right? Or like there was a big family ceremony, or who knows, maybe it was like a funeral. Could be anything, but we need to build memories here out of the things she's experiencing. Yeah, and this is in this way we can, we're doing more weaving. We're taking different strands of what Teal is, and we're making a tapestry out of them. And the tapestry requires different colors, right? This is a terrible metaphor, but hang with me here. This tapestry needs different colors, and so we have to keep weaving in these different bits of teal and the different colors of teal, so that by the end of it, by not the end of it, but by most of the way through the book, we have a really good understanding of who Teal is, rather than having a pretty wishy-washy sense of like, oh yeah, we've been like forced to hang out with this idiot for 20-something chapters now. I guess I'll start caring about them. We need to do a better job of establishing who Teal maybe was, like, of having half a pretty decent tapestry, enough so that the reader wants to finish the tapestry, right? The first half of the tapestry looks banging, but yeah, Teal's a robot today. Teal's a tapestry. Who knows what else Teal's going to turn into? Maybe Teal's going to turn into a towel. Who knows? But we need to do this character building, and I just have one last note here. This is mostly for myself to not really worry about in this segment what's present and what's past for Teal, because Teal's really kind of struggling with that too. This is a moment where Teal is like, there's a lot happening. I'm overwhelmed. I'm maybe just gonna go nonverbal a little bit. I'm like, I can't really cope with what's going on right now, and yet she has to, right? She has to just deal with what's happening to her. And likewise, the reader is just going to, unfortunately, have to succumb to that too, right? We're just going to have to hang on and ride it out. But the two talk. Teal sits down. She's pretty freaked out. The Oracle, spins some stuff. They call her out. They basically say, You're not from here. You look a little freaked out. And she kind of just goes like, duh, yeah. Anyone could tell that. So she kind of calls their bluff, but then they start putting the moves. They start talking. They start talking shop, really, which is really what draws Teal in. I have here that they're their supposed knowledge of Teal is portrayed really well, because we don't get this sense of whether or not the Oracle is legit. And that's great. I think that's a perfect way of doing it. I think never mentioning if the Oracle is right or not about their predictions is right on the nose. That's right on the money. Because it's a good bit. I don't have to explain myself. I don't know you. I don't know anyone. I'm a box. I'm a cardboard box. I don't have to explain all of my subtext. I do some bad job spacing out conversations. I'm pretty sure in the next chapter that stops for good. There's not really a lot here talking about the Oracle themselves as a character physically. They kind of lack an aura. They don't really have a sense. They don't have like a presence. And even just like little things would go a long way. You know, to maybe describe their hands as bony, to describe their face as sunken, or to even just make mention of their robes. You know, maybe their face is covered like the nun. Maybe Teal really doesn't get a good sense. Maybe she can only see their eyes. Are they wearing jewelry? Are they dressed plainly? We don't know. We don't get a good sense of what kind of oracle this is. So we got to work on that. We got to add some things here. They start talking shop. Where are we here? Teal's like, oh, you're somebody who does divination. And the Oracle's like, yeah, sure, you could call it that. I just need to correct this, right? It wasn't until later on in the book that I start really hammering home the hard facts of what Teal understands as magic. What she's learned as magic. And so here she wouldn't dive right into calling it divination. She would refer to it as she's learned it, even instinctively. She should be a lot more confused here, right? She just dives in and starts calling it like, oh, you must be a diviner, you must study divination. Teal, you have amnesia. Stop putting on a front. You gotta pick a lane. You gotta either be confused and have amnesia, or you gotta just be rolling with it and pretend you don't have amnesia. Which I guess is what she's doing here, but I don't like that. So no more, right? She's got to be kind of confused here. Whether it's on this subject or any subject that they talk about, Teal should have this sense of, I kind of know what we're talking about. And she's having another moment, like she was when she was talking to the Sentinel. She's having another moment of, I know this subject. Why do I know this subject? This one's kind of weird. I guess I'm just going to roll with it, but I'm also a little freaked out. We got to play that up a little more. I do really enjoy how Teal slowly gets a sense of her surroundings. It's a fun way to build the scene between interactions between the two individuals. Teal spying this, Teal noticing that. I have a bit here that, this is basically what I just said, that she should be less certain of her studies. She shouldn't just be like, oh yeah, I learned that in school. This is maybe even the first time she's thinking about, oh, I was educated. I remember a place. I remember spending a lot of time in a place and learning. What's up with that? So definitely a lot less certainty of her past here. And I think it would even, given her situation presently and her kind of vague connection with the Oracle, she might be more forthcoming with the fact that she has amnesia. She might just straight up tell them. And honestly, the Oracle would be like, yeah, whatever, that doesn't matter to me. I look forward into the future. Like, maybe your memory is in the future. Let's look for it together. So she can be pretty forthcoming here, and the Oracle can just kind of rebuff it or accept it or what have you. Just an idea, but something to incorporate as more character building, right? This is a big character building chapter for Teal. Thank you. Yes, it is saved to the PC. Thank you. I don't know if that appeared over me. It was basically right where my head was. I'm gonna assume it didn't. Anyways, yeah, this is a big chapter for Teal. For Teal, like for the reader to learn about Teal, and also for Teal to learn about Teal. This is a small note. There's a mention, the Oracle says, like, oh yeah, don't worry about paying me. There's not much overhead for this gig. That's just got to be removed. Doing so makes the invitation more friendly. And it also makes the return of the Oracle later more relevant, because it's pretty, I don't think I ever say it outright, but Teal, when they meet the Oracle again, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, I felt I had to draw that out because I just said it out of nowhere. But anyways, for real, it's a spoiler alert. When Teal meets the Oracle again later, it's kind of a vague point that the Oracle has fallen on tough times, that they're maybe not doing so well. And so, why are they saying there's very little overhead, and then later it's kind of alluded to that they're falling on tough times? Either they're just lying, or I didn't think very hard when I was writing chapter 39. But alas, here we are in a world where there's kind of a little slip up here. So hey, draft 2, fix that. Thank you. And let's just keep on rolling forward. Teal has some good memories here of recollecting. She immediately is like, oh, a summoning charm. And I don't think it's bad that she's remembering magic. Like I said, this should be a bit of a mirroring of chapter 7's moment with the Sentinel. She's remembering bits of magic here, which, if it isn't apparent, is important to Teal. So she's remembering things. It's just too clear. We need to muddle them up a little bit. There's some descriptions here that just feel really forced, especially in this segment here where Teal just is talking, and then it feels like she has a moment where she just stops the conversation to look around the tent and be like, okay, did I look at everything? Did I remember to look at everything so that the reader knows what this tent looks like? Well, you can definitely fold this into this segment a lot better, with a lot more of a smooth transition, rather than just Teal stops talking, Teal looks at the things, Teal goes back to talking. Feels almost like a BioWare moment, or a Bethesda moment, where it's like, you must go through scripted conversation in order to look at the thing. Which isn't good. You know, it's funny to joke about, but it's, I don't know, it's just dumb. I want to mention that there should be a bit of heat, that the tent should feel a little stuffy, because there's candles all over the place, right? We're inside. It's the middle of the day. They're just sitting in a tent, and like a pretty, this would be a pretty thick walled tent. This would have a sense of insulation to it. This is a semi-permanent structure that the Oracle has erected here in the middle of the alleyway, and it would have kind of a stifling air to it, given the smoke, given the heat, given the lack of ventilation. We just got to mention that it makes the tent feel a little more alive, a little more believable. And it also plays with Teal's senses, right? We've been talking about really hammering home what Teal feels and what Teal senses. So this is another aspect. Feeling heat on the air, existing in a humid or a stifling environment, is completely different from being in a comfortable room. Teal gets really excited here, which is good. I don't think it's bad that she gets excited. It's just a little too trusting given her present state. So she would know enough, or she would react in a more muted manner. Like, it's not bad that she's excited that the Oracle is clearly displaying a little bit of magic here. And if not magic, then sleight of hand. Regardless, Teal seems pretty into it, but she should quell herself a little bit. She's not ready to completely trust another individual. When I was first writing this, the idea was Teal was just so enraptured by what's going on here that she was just like, ooh, okay, great, wow, this is magic, I love it. But reconsidering how she presently is in this stage in the narrative, she would be, her defenses, right? She just came into this tent and she was thinking, I'm scared. There's a voice. I'm going to turn around and take my knife out. She's still coming down, right? That's not a 60-0. You don't just hit the brakes. If you hit the brakes on something like that, you're going to wipe out. And Teal, I don't want her to wipe out. There's another bad metaphor. Teal has become a car today. I don't want Teal to wipe out, so we need to wean her into this mentality of being enthusiastic and interested in what the Oracle is trying to present to them. So we just got to pump the brakes a little bit. We just got to slow down. We got to ease. We got to come to a rolling stop. And then properly stop. Because you have to brake at 4-way stops, or else you might hit a pedestrian. And you don't want that. I don't want that. I'm probably the pedestrian. I don't want to get hit. Getting hit sucks. Anyways, the Oracle pulls out this crystal ball. It's not bad. It lacks a little punch, given the weight of the situation, right? We're talking about Teal kind of coming to odds with trust. And so this crystal ball is a bit of a moment. It's very iconic. It's very cliche. It's tropey, but we need to really lean on it. It doesn't fit into the rhythm of this scene very well. The Oracle really just pulls it out and it's like, here, check out my crystal ball. And Teal goes, wow, crazy. I don't know if it's real or not, but whoa. There's really just a tepid gag here, and I don't even know what it is, but I know it's in here somewhere where Teal, she gets her fortune read here. The Oracle looks into the crystal ball and sees all these ill omens. Sorry. I didn't fully explain myself. I just realized it sounded like I meant the fact that they're pulling out the crystal ball is what's not exciting. I'm referring to this bit. I'm referring to their reading. Their reading doesn't exemplify much power, right? That this needs to be a moment of almost horror for Teal. Teal is really like, these things are scary. Why are you telling me bad things? The Oracle really just says it. They really just give out their reading, and then they go, okay, well, that's that. And Teal just has this very silent moment of oh no. And then she has a poem. And this whole bit just needs to be, it needs to be more impactful. We need to incorporate Teal's mounting dread, the fact that this is a terrible fortune. This is this is awful. This is the worst. You basically just told me I'm gonna go die alone. How dare you? How dare you? How dare I? And we get the sense that maybe Teal's a little like superstitious, that she kind of buys into it. Um, but she like this poem falls out of her, and it's really awkward. And like I don't hate the poem itself, but like I understand that when I was writing this, I really just wanted a poem in this chapter. But the pacing here, like it's just a stop sign to the face. It's not like it's not the four-way intersection. The four-way intersection was brought to you by somebody carrying a stop sign, Lethal Company style, and just beating you over the head with it, which isn't good. That doesn't feel good. So this poem's got to go, especially if it's spoken out loud. Like the fact that Teal just utters it is very weird. It goes to say how taken back she is by this bad reading, by this ill omen. But like no one in their right mind is just going to regurgitate a poem because they had like a bad fortune. Teal would be really shook, but she's going to keep that in. She's gonna hold that in right now and just kind of think like, oh man, this sucks. Yeah, we gotta reestablish this segment here of Teal's fortune reading to be more impactful, for Teal to have more of an inner monologue here, to be thinking, oh, this is bad, this is awful. She can incorporate the poem into her monologue, into her thoughts here. And then the oracle redirects. The oracle is just saying, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Let's try something else. They can still do that, but I think they should reframe it by incorporating Teal's present situation into the narrative, where they say something along the lines of, "Oh, your fortune was probably bad because you're stressed, right?" This gives Teal less of a reason to completely disregard what they've just said. It adds like a tally kind of against them, but Teal's willing to ignore that for now because this logic is sound in her mind. For her, being told, oh, the reason the reading was kind of bad is because you're stressed. Teal would nod and go, okay, yeah, I am really stressed. That checks out. Like, if there is a reason to cast doubt on like basically being told you're going to die, she's going to take it, right? I don't think anybody in this situation wouldn't take that out. So doing so allows the Oracle to stay in the game. It keeps Teal in the game. And it also paints them as being like a little more, having a bit more savoir-faire. They know what they're doing. Like, this is the Oracle's gig, right? And they would say something like that to kind of backpedal out of a sticky situation where their client is maybe having a panic attack because you just foretold the forces of doom upon them, or what have you. They scrap that. The Oracle scraps the crystal ball, and they move on to allomancy, which is the flower reading. We need to talk about here how Teal only. I'm setting up a bit here, so hold on to your butts for me. We need to I need to be very particular in setting up that Teal takes off her right hand glove. And in doing so, right, this is the first time Teal's removed her gloves. It's kind of it's not really a big deal for Teal. It's a big deal, and we'll get to more on that later. But very particular, she's got to take the right hand glove off and do this with her right hand, right? It signals to reader, okay, she's probably right-handed. Things are adding up here, like right-handed, right-handed, right-handed. This is a bit later. We'll talk in a few chapters. But right now, we need to do this, and then I think probably just having her dwell on the sensation of feeling flour would add a lot to this scene. Right now, she really just grabs the flour and tosses it in, and then they have their little shtick. We could omit some of the shtick and add some important moments for Teal where she's having these vague memories that crawl across her mind. That, maybe she remembers baking as a child. Maybe she remembers being in the kitchen, maybe helping some of the kitchen staff. Maybe the scent of flour brings back to memory certain foods. Maybe she remembers flour kind of being finer. Maybe she remembers it like being rice flour or, of a different texture. Maybe this flour, she's like, oh, this is flour? Oh, this is kind of weird. I don't remember flour being like this. Maybe she's used to like whole wheat or what have you. But anything, right? Anything to add a bit more spice to this interaction. Because right now she really just grabs the flour and does the thing, and then they have their bit. A little too quick. The allomancy, obviously, it goes the same way as the crystal ball reading. Teal gets a terrible reading, and the oracle just immediately switches gears. It's I don't hate that as a bit of a gag, but it's too hasty. There isn't a sense of this one's done, this one starts. There's a sense of this isn't working. Let's just move on to the next thing, which almost makes this allomancy thing feel token. Like, oh, why bother? The reason we're bothering is because it's important, and we need to talk about things in this section that crop up, that come up, and affect the characters here. And right now, we're just switching gears way too fast. Just adding a bit of order here. Like I said, I think the idea of kind of going, maybe that didn't work, let's try something else, isn't a bad idea. It's just presented too chaotically. I have an idea here, like this could be remedied very easily by just having a line that acknowledges this unfavorable outcome, where the oracle just draws attention to it, and then uses that. They get at the spinning wheel here, and they're tying things together. They're spinning threads together, where they're once again backpedaling out of a bad deal and trying to work their way down another path that might present themselves as a I was going to say scholar. They're not really a scholar, but they're a professional, right? They want to present themselves as professional, as knowing their craft, as being competent. So just something like that, something to just tie this all together better instead of just having it be a slap over the face. I think it would do wonders for this segment here. From that, though, we get to the tea leaf reading, which is cool. That's great. Teal at this moment would be way more eager for the tea than she is. She definitely sounds like she wants to drink some tea, but given her current situation, she would almost be like super reluctant to listen to the oracle's advice to let the leaves settle. Teal would just be like, I don't want to do that. She would be, finding excuse after excuse to bide her time. She does so now by just sort of observing the tea, but I think here, even for her to have some more vague memories, to dwell on something, to to be a little judgy in this moment, to think like, okay, well, like, come on, maybe this oracle is not all they're not all they're cut out to be. Maybe they are just pulling the wool over my eyes here. We'll never know. No, we will. We will know. Just joking. But yeah, I mentioned here very slapdash. There's a nice nod to like how elvish culture would drink tea, and Teal's kind of sitting here like, this is a little wrong. And maybe we could expand on that a little bit. Maybe she could be thinking like, oh, this type of tea is weird. This type of cup is weird. That kind of teapot is weird. This is weird. This is a weird place. Yeah, just needs a little more tealiness. Because she wants the tea. She's hungry. She's thirsty. And I think sort of this sets up to the idea that, oh yeah, she did just have tea with the saint. She's already that desperate for tea. Either it's been a long time, which is a good idea to have. Either it's been a long time between the saint and the oracle, or Teal is just that desperate for tea. Teal is just such a little piggy that she is already like, yeah. I just had a cup. I want another. Gimme. Do you have cookies? I'll take cookies. Thank you. Do you have any scones? I'll have those too. Thank you. And maybe I should make mention of that. Maybe she's like, I wonder if they have any snacks. Snacks. I had a tea. I had a tea before we started. And I had cookies. And they were really good. They weren't, I shouldn't say really good. They hit the spot. But they were kind of crap cookies. Anyway. She drinks the tea. They have a little tea reading. And once again, there's really no flow. There's really no flow between the end of the tea leaf reading and the start of the next one. I catch myself very cleverly here as the neat I am that I clearly mentioned that the oracle brings out a tome to assist them in the tea leaf reading. But by the end of it, this tome is just gone. Where did that tome go, right? We can have a beat here where we mention that the oracle puts the tome away in a hurry. Maybe they just throw it. Maybe they break the teapot, right? I don't care that this moment is a little goofy. In fact, I think that really plays into the idea that the oracle's getting pretty desperate. But the fact that the tea leaf reading just ends and the oracle dives into another thing, we got to have a beat here. We got to have a moment. We have to have a pause to explain what's going on. Because Teal should be feeling things. Teal should be experiencing things and pondering and wondering, and kind of she's getting to this point where her judgments of the oracle are leaning towards kind of just getting played. And the oracle is leaning towards this other side of, I'm being an idiot. Like, why isn't this working? Why can't I just predict something good for this clearly upset individual? Like, I just want to help. I'm just trying to do a good thing and it's not working. And if only the fortunes would favor me. So they start getting a little more desperate. And we need to work a bit more flow, and once again, between the tea leaf reading and the palm reading, which happens next. This is a bit more of a beat, and this is an important one, because this whole segment needs to be altered. Right now, Teal just, the oracle suggests, hey, how about palm reading? That's pretty reliable. Teal just goes along with it. We have established, later on in the story, we establish that Teal is very averse to being touched. And we don't really, this is one of those things that I add in later that is a really important character trait that I just pull out of nowhere. It's always kind of been a thing, but I really just pull it out of nowhere, seemingly nowhere, right? It kind of just, it's almost as if Teal in the heightened state of the later half of the book, it's just the fact that Teal's agitated that she doesn't want to be touched. But the fact is, she just never wants to be touched. She's just completely averse to it. She doesn't like the sensation of touching other individuals. Once again, we're tying in more threads of like, oh, is Teal just kind of a weirdo, or is this some sort of weird trauma response, right? We're getting into ideas here that are bigger than Teal, but are still part of her, right? So we need to completely almost redo this. She really hesitates on the idea, or she should really hesitate on the idea, almost to the point where the Oracle is kind of like, oh, you sure? Like, what's wrong? You all right, kid? Snap, snap. You all right? You still with me, kid? Because that's how potent this suggestion is. Even just the idea of, oh, hey, can I touch your hands? Can I touch your hands to read your fortune? Is that just sends Teal over a wall, and she just, her freeze response activates maybe. And she just sits there and kind of blanks out and like, no, you can't read my palms. We can still kind of have this thing. This is just free rambling on how this scene might be altered at this point. But we can really keep the ideas here. Maybe scrap some of those things where the Oracle is like, oh, you have really nice hands. Which was meant to be like kind of a gag in this first draft here. We can kind of get rid of a lot of this. We can have Teal present the idea of like, I can just show them to you, right? Like, you don't have to touch my hands. Like, if you don't touch my hands, I am okay with the palm reading. So we can still glean information. They can still tell her what they think of her palms, but it would just have to be done in a different light. This generally alters the flavor of this palm reading. And instead of like, your hands are too pretty to read, the Oracle can just use an out along the lines of, oh, since you're reluctant to being within physical contact, I can't really make a strong reading. Like, there's probably a lot wrong with this fortune I'm giving you, so let's try something else, right? Which is good. Like, honestly, I think that's a great way to reframe the scene. It presents Teal as kind of vulnerable, that she doesn't want to be touched, but that she's willing to come to a compromise to bemuse the Oracle here, to give them an out. She's lending a lot of grace here, which is another aspect of Teal. She's like in this vulnerable situation. She's trying to be nice to this person who's trying to be nice to her. They had a bit of a moment where they were talking magic, and she feels a bit of a connection. She's like, okay, well, yeah, I'll give this person a shot. They seem pretty all right, and I'm generally curious and kind of suspicious. What's that called? When you're, what's that called? I used the word earlier. Superstitious. That's it. She's a little superstitious. And these are all little points we can peck at. Peck. Which all culminates in this scene, and then can be tied together with the Oracle seeing some ghastly readings and going, gulp. Darn, sorry, I can't get a good reading because I need to feel your hands in order to sense your pulse. Yep, it's your pulse. I can't feel your pulse. So, darn. This in turn comes to another important point. Not really important right now, but it's important down the line. This is one of those like foreshadowing kind of things, where this is the first time Teal has both her gloves on, right? We saw one glove off earlier, and now we have both of them off, which, bing, 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 another spoiler alert, is a big deal, because this is the first time we see Teal's ring. And this ring is important. It comes back later in the book. It ends up being pretty darn important. It's really darn important way down the line. But right now, we just need to mention it. This is a failing on my part that I just completely overlooked this issue. There wasn't even a ring in chapter 9 in the first draft. The ring really didn't become a thing until much later on, when I was like, oh yeah, there's going to be like a romance subplot, which there is, right? And so Teal's got this ring from a significant other, and she should, right? She should see the scene, right? Both of her gloves are off. She should see this ring and go, oh, hey, a ring. What's that about? I don't like the idea of her really dwelling on it right now, but she should see the ring and go, ah, a ring. Huh. Wait a minute. Well, hold on. Another important thing, like, why am I carrying things that are like weird mementos of me, but I don't remember what they are? Another situation, much like her amulet, much like her knife, she's just sitting there and gawking at this ring and going, this is important. This looks really fancy and important. And why is it on me? Why is it on me under my glove? What's up with that? Why did I have a ring tucked under my glove? What kind of weirdo am I? Clearly, this is something really important to me, right? And she can even just look at it and be like, oh, wow, that's really nice silver. And maybe even the Oracle makes mention of it, of like, oh, cool, nice ring. Like, that looks really fancy. What, are you married or something? And, Teal just like, ha, 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 ha. I don't know. Am I? Is she? Oh. You won't find out. You'll never find out. Ever. Ever. Anyways. The ring is important. We gotta actually put the ring in this scene somewhere. So that later when I mention it, it doesn't just appear on Teal's hand. It's like it's always been there. Yep. It didn't just appear in chapter 23. Oh, no. It's been there. It's been there. Mark my words. The palm reading goes off about as well as one would expect. There's a pretty good transition here where Teal thinks, like, okay, maybe I'll just leave. Like, the Oracle's kind of weirding me out. None of this is working. I kind of just feel bad. Maybe I'll just leave. But the Oracle brings out, they're essentially tarot cards, right? They're meant to be tarot cards anyway. They're just kind of got a funny spin on them. But the Oracle pulls out these cards and offers her a reading with them, which is good, but I think the cards need to be a little more grand. I think they need to have this aura of mysticism about them, that the Oracle really hypes them up, like, oh yeah, this is gonna change your life. These cards are gilded with gold. Maybe they even have like a scent to them. Maybe they even smell perfumed, and they like come out of a box within a box within a box. And then the Oracle takes out the cards. Like, that's how precious these things are. And then the cards are maybe in like a wrapper, like a golden wrapper or something, right? Tied up with a bow. Maybe they're printed on like wooden slats or something too. I don't know. Like, these should really cause a scene, and Teal should like gawk at them and be like, oh wow, that is not only cool and mystical, that is art. That's some crazy stuff. So they need to have they need to really control this scene. These cards need to have almost their own little moment here. Aside from that, though, they start the tarot card reading. Teal starts drawing cards. That's cool. That's great. Teal gets really into it. Teal gets really into this idea of like, okay, cool. I don't know what these cards are. They look fancy. Let's do it. They start drawing cards. The first one is like, what is it? It's the Cavalier. That's cool. That's fine. There's an homage to Azure here. It's a little too soon to be that upfront about that sort of thing, I think. We need to obscure things a little bit. Teal shouldn't be thinking, oh yeah, my sister is in the cavalry. She should be thinking like, oh, that's kind of familiar. Why am I thinking about Why am I thinking about that one family member? And, yeah, no, they wore armor, didn't they? I think so. Were they? Did they ride horses? Maybe they were in the cavalry. Like, she should have these vague connections. Were they a knight? No, I don't think a knight. Did they have a spear? Maybe a lance or something? I can't remember. Maybe they did jousting? I just can't put it together here. It's just a little too clear right now, like many other things. And that's not good. I don't even think... Well, maybe because have we already? Whatever. That's a draft 2 issue. That's a draft 2 issue whether or not we've mentioned Azure by this point, but whether or not the allusion to her should be kind of faded. It shouldn't be so precise. They go through a few more cards and eventually they get to the corpse, right? And I think that as a beat really needs to have more weight. Right now, it's literally, you can see it right here. You can see it right here where the corpse is revealed and Teal just leaves. Teal's just gone, right? And we got to separate this chunk into 2 different bits. The fact that the corpse needs a little more weight. The reveal of it needs to be more substantial. The Oracle should almost maybe gasp here. And just be taken aback, and we should really just revel in like the scenery of this card, what it inspires, what it evokes, because it's a big deal. It's a big moment, not only because we're foreshadowing, but because these cards are really cool. We just went over how cool these cards are, and so seeing the corpse upright, that's like a doozy, right? Ain't no one want to get the corpse upright. And here's Teal after all of these terrible readings getting like the worst card imaginable. That's not good. There's this bit in here where Teal is just kind of like outwardly being annoyed. That's a little too harsh. I don't think Teal would be doing that. I think she'd be inwardly a little annoyed. She'd definitely be kind of on the fence. She'd be really cementing her idea like, I kind of just want to get out of here. This has been a bad time. I just feel bad. Like the vibes here are wrong. I don't want to go. And then by the time they're getting to the corpse, there should be just like a lot of dread. She should just be stewing in bad feels, in bad vibes. Just this like languor, this almost exhaustion is starting to come over her. Just like this weight is pressing down on her, this pressure, and she's just like, oh yeah, okay, I can't take any more of this. I gotta go. That should be the vibe. Like, I cannot deal with this anymore. I'm gone. As it stands right now, she's sitting there, she's being annoyed, and you get the impression that she leaves because she's upset, rather than she's leaving because she's getting depressed. Because this is a depressing moment when you're constantly being told over and over again, you're going to struggle and then you're going to die. And, to hear that over and over again, being a little suspicious, you start maybe getting a little less suspicious and like, okay, this is kind of bullshit. Even if it isn't, you're making me sad. I just want to go. And so Teal just goes. That's fine. The fact that Teal just leaves, that's not the problem I have here. She just like the set dressing of why she leaves should be readjusted. She should be feeling dread. She can be annoyed later. We can have her be annoyed at the start of the next chapter. But right now, she's really caught up in these readings. She's really caught up in the moment that why is this fortune teller just telling me I'm going to die? I don't want that. I don't want to be told I'm going to die. So she's feeling a lot of like depression, regret, sorrow, remorse. Like, oh, why did I even bother coming here? And personally, as a last point here, we I think the Oracle deserves like a bit more of a conclusion. Right now, it's kind of just a funny little haha. Let's try something else, which I don't think is bad. But the Oracle really doesn't get any denouement here. They don't get any closure, which is a little sad, right? The Oracle really didn't do anything wrong this chapter. Maybe they're a bit of a fraud, but they're kind of a good-hearted fraud, right? And for that, you know, you should at least get a bit of a comeuppance here. We can at least talk about how they're feeling, talk about how things are going, talking about what they perceive. We really just get a mention of like, oh, they see the tent flap fall and the chair be empty. And then they kind of just like, okay, well, that signals that Teal's gone, so we no longer care about the Oracle. We should give the Oracle a bit of a beat here. You know, because they just did all this work. None of it really panned out. They're definitely feeling a little lacking. They're feeling like, oh man, I really bungled that up. The fates really F that up for me. And maybe like all they do is kind of just grumble to themselves and put the cards away. Even that much adds a lot of stoppage to this chapter, right? Right now, as it stands, Teal leaves, and we know she leaves, and the next chapter starts, which runs thematically correctly. But I think given the Oracle's place in this story here, they deserve a little something, right? Just a little something at the end here that signals that they weren't necessarily, similarly to the Sentinel, right? We mentioned how Teal just leaves the Sentinel and the Sentinel doesn't really get a beat at the end. The Oracle here doesn't really get a beat. They don't get one last mention. We just kind of, Teal just leaves, which is Teal. But as for the reader, it adds a better sense of depth to these side characters, and it ties up the chapter nicely, right? We get a little knot at the end of the chapter here. We know how the Oracle felt about that engagement. Not even that how they felt, just kind of an allusion to like what's happening, what are they doing when Teal leaves, right? Even just knowing that cements a chapter nicely. Nope. We add the final layer here. We add on the icing. Not even the icing. This is like the garnish. This is like the chocolate sprinkles on the icing. Teal's a cake now. I don't know what we're at. Is that 5? Is that 5 things? Is Teal 5 things? Not important. I've been talking for a while. I apologize. It's been about an hour. Thank you for everyone for sticking with me. We're going to quickly go through Chapter 10. Chapter 10 is going to be real breezy. Before that, I'm going to take a sip of water. Hydration. And you might be thinking, what's a box gotta drink water for? I don't gotta answer that. So we move on to Chapter 10. And Chapter 10 is going to be easy because, hey, guess what? We have to completely rewrite Chapter 10. You might be thinking, why do we have to rewrite Chapter 10? Well, you see, the thing we just talked about in Chapter 9, where we have to add a beat, right? We have to add an important thing that Teal doesn't like being touched. And the thing with Chapter 10 is it's 90% Teal being kind of handled by the dancer, by the terpsichorean here. And now that we've established that Teal doesn't want to be touched, that means most of this chapter just isn't applicable. Because Teal wouldn't just, right now, right, with this chapter, to give a quick synopsis, Teal bumps into somebody and just ends up dancing with them. And the terpsichorean is a big weirdo, and all they do is dance all the time. And Teal goes, I guess that's okay, like, if you're having fun, but, like, what else do you do? And the terpsichorean is just like, well, I don't do anything else. This is all I do. I only want to do things I enjoy. And Teal weighs the the gravity of such a philosophy. And that's basically it. Teal dances with this person, and by the end she feels they're kind of foolish, which is most of the chapters. But given that we know now that Teal doesn't want to be touched ever, this is a big deal, right? Teal's not just going to go along with this dancing. We really have to build this chapter from the ground up. The general message of what the Terpsichorean is vibing with here, their sense that all they want to do is have fun. That can stay, right? That's the core message of this chapter. But now we really have to shift this, shift the view, shift the production of this chapter, for lack of a better term, in order to vibe with Teal, right? Teal has changed a little bit since the first draft, and now she's not just going to go along with it. We have to completely change her perspective. So her reaction is no longer going to be like this first part where she's kind of just talking to herself. That's okay, right? Like, it's fine. It should be expanded a bit. It makes the fact that she's distracted and bumps into somebody pretty believable. I think she should maybe even, like, maybe she has Lacrimosa out. Maybe she has the lantern out in her hands and she's staring at it. Because once again, we're at a moment where Teal's a little bothered, right? She just got told several times she's going to struggle and then die. That's not cool. Time for a bug. Time for my bug friend that makes me feel not awful. Time for the only person I've met who isn't, like, kind of weird and tells me I'm dumb. So I'm going to talk to Lacrimosa, my best friend in the whole world. So she does that, and that's fine. That's great. She should. We can definitely work out a better way of explaining how she feels presently when she's talking to Lacrimosa as she's walking along here. We can get another good sense of, like, the alleyways, because right now there's a very poor sense of place here. But as it stands, like 90% of this chapter is getting rewritten. For most of the other chapters, it's been okay. The framework's fine. Worst case scenario, like I was even just saying, okay, the introduction of chapter 9 there probably needs remodeling, right? That's like saying one room of your house is like needs to be redone. Chapter 10 here, we might have to knock down most of the house and check the supports and then build the house up from the ground. You know, that's how much is going to change with this chapter. We might actually have to tear the house down and check for termites, because it's just going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big thing. There's really no sense of, like, what the Terpsichorean is, what the dancer does, what they're like. Are they gangly? Are they stout? Are they svelte? Right? Even just little descriptors like that go so far in tying a character into this world. Where, okay, well, right now it's just kind of like, okay, the Terpsichorean, sure. Even just mentioning they have flowing accoutrement paints a completely different picture from one person to the next, as to just saying, like, okay, there they are. Here they are. They're dancing with Teal. So we gotta ground the Terpsichorean here. We have to ground the scene in an environment. Right now, they're just dancing. They're just dancing somewhere. Teal left. She walked a bit. They're dancing somewhere. I don't know. We got to figure this out. We got to figure out, where the heck are they? Where the heck are they? There's some nice bits here where Teal has some really fun wordplay. That's got to stay. There's some cute little world building here where the dancer calls her an imp. And then Teal very factually informs them, like, no, actually, I'm not an imp. Imps aren't related to the Fae. They're actually demonic constructs from the 9 hells that, oh, you're not listening, are you? Okay, so you're just dancing there and not paying attention. Okay, fine. Don't listen to my info dump then. I don't care. I know you feel bestie. Anyways, that can stay. She's got some fun wordplay in here. There's some fun jokes. Um, we need to, like, the weird thing, right? And this is okay. I don't mind if Teal is a kind of a hypocritical individual, because people are constantly at odds with themselves. So we need to put up this fact that, like, Teal does enjoy dancing. Teal thinks that part of this chapter isn't wrong. The fact that Teal kind of low-key enjoys dancing, the fact that she thinks this bodily movement is fine, that she's kind of a natural at it, that she has like a good body for dancing. She's kind of naturally nimble and dexterous. That's fine. She can like dancing. That's great. She can maybe even like have allusions to some of her memories where she's thinking about dancing. Maybe she has danced in the past. Maybe she's reminded of like, oh, I think this first bit here where they break into a waltz, one of the first dances they do is just like a very tame waltz. And Teal should, if a waltz does get brought up, right, Teal should be thinking like, oh no, I really like that. Why does that feel very familiar? Why do I feel a strange connection with this style of dance? And she should also have a different beat where she's sort of judging the Terpsichorean, where she thinks, that's not really dancing, is it? Like, Teal's idea of a dance is very traditional, very steeped in Elvish tradition. So she's probably thinking, well, what do you mean? What do you mean just dancing? You're just, oop, uh-oh. Hey, we're back. Hello. OBS just ate a brick. I was going to say something less savory. It ate a brick. We are back. Thank you, everyone, for staying tuned. I believe we didn't drop any frames, so that's good. On your end, it probably, yeah, I'm being informed everything was totally fine. But OBS definitely yelled at me for disconnecting. I apologize for that. Don't know why it happened. Where was I? I was talking about Teal's definition of dance, right? Teal's idea of dance is very different from what the Terpsichorean is presenting here. And that's fine. That's another great beat of informing Elvish culture without talking about Elvish culture. We have this little smattering. But my idea is that by the end of this book, we have a good little dusting of what Elvish culture should be, of what it could be, so that later on, when we actually get into it, it's not so shocking. It's not so weird. It's not so... I shouldn't be saying weird, because it isn't weird. It's just, it might be jarring, right? It might be jarring for most readers to be thinking, Elvish culture in Tang Dynasty China? That's not normal. What do you mean? What do you mean? My elves aren't speaking Tolkien Elvish in Rivendell, and I'm not even going to go there. I'm not that much of a Tolkien nerd, but you get my point. So that's another thing Teal can kind of deal with. Like I said, most of this chapter is just getting scrapped. There's a mention of like zombies. There's a few paragraphs here where Teal thinks, right, the dancer's going along, and Teal's like, surely you can't dance all the time. Don't you need to sleep and use the washroom? And the Terpsichorean is like, yeah, well, check this out. I've got a dance move where I actually just fall asleep. And then they bust it out, and Teal goes, oh, that's freaking weird. You look like a zombie. And she has like a weird memory here where she's reminded like, oh yeah, wait, no, I know what zombies are. My sister told me about them. Teal remembering zombies, sure, fine. That's like a connection that one might make. Her specifically remembering an utterance, like a time when Azur was talking about zombies, once again, just much too much of a clear note. Teal would not be remembering that. She might remember like, oh yeah, didn't my sister used to fight zombies? Did I used to fight zombies? Was zombies a problem? Was zombies a problem back home? I don't remember. But regardless, right, Teal leaves, right? And that's fine. Um, I can't talk about too much about chapter 10 because it's just mostly getting scrapped. A lot of this isn't staying. We need to adjust the situation where Teal bumps into them, and like Teal, I think, can get pulled into a dance, but she should not just go along with it. She should pull away immediately and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" And then they can have an interaction where the Terpsichorean is like, "Oh, I'm just dancing, sweetheart. Like, don't you want to dance? Don't you like to have fun?" And Teal immediately just judges them like, "That's not dancing. You're ridiculous. What you're doing just looks like gyrating. Dancing should be more of an art that fine, upstanding individuals hone like a craft throughout their life. Where's your troupe? Where's your performing troupe? People don't just dance on their own. That's ridiculous. You don't even have music. Where's the music?" Right? And then they can have this back and forth. And then like maybe she does just get pulled into a dance against her own will. And she starts thinking like, oh, like, I don't hate this. What I hate is that you're too close to me and I don't know you. And then she has this kind of like moment where she's like, you're not actually, this is not intimate at all. You were just using me like an object. Like you don't care that I'm me. You'd grab anybody and dance with them. Right? And these are things we want to incorporate here, or that we could incorporate. Like I said, chapter 10's up in the air. Chapter 10 is, I'm designating a draft 2 problem. Because it just needs another draft 1. Draft 1 here really doesn't have anything to build off of. There's some okay beats, but it's just got to be redone. And thankfully, it's only like 4 pages. It's a short chapter, and it's mostly just like a thought experiment. Like, oh, haha, somebody who lives only for fun. What does Teal think about that? Yeah. There's not a lot to address. It's just got to be redone. But with that, hey, that's chapter 10. That's chapter 10, and chapter 11's right here waiting in the wings. So we did it. Good job, everyone. We made it. That only took like 15 minutes compared to the hour that the other chapter took. This series would go a lot faster if I just said, just scrap the chapter and redo it. That would be way more fun to watch, right? Honestly, it would probably get more views than my current videos, but I'm not bitter. I'm a little bitter. But that's neither here nor there. We did it, everyone. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me. We've got a bit more time until the end of the stream. I've got some things to do. Some things being, I gotta draw. I'm gonna draw. I hope. But for now, we're gonna shift gears. And we are going to take a small break. And then after that, once I'm back, we're going to start a Q&A session. And I learned recently how to start a Q&A session on YouTube. Apparently there's a mode for it. There's been a mode for it this whole time. And I only just learned how to turn it on. So we're going to do that just to test it out. Just in case maybe more than one person shows up to my stream, and then we're gonna go. We're gonna do it, regardless of whether or not somebody told me about it on my first stream. Doesn't mean that I just learned about it. It also probably reinforces the idea that I'm dumb. So don't at me. Don't at me. Yeah, I'm going to take a small break. I'm going to mute. I already had a tea, so there's no tea today, but I might, I don't know. I don't know if I'll put on music. I don't know. We'll see. I'll get the drawing portion prepped. And then we'll have our little Q&A. And then we'll see what the heck happens from there. You know, it's kind of funny. If I mute, the mic still picks up on the PNG tuber. So like I can just do this. And y'all don't know what I'm saying, but it looks like I'm talking. That's kind of funny. That's a little funny. Yeah, let's get drawing. Let's do some doodles. I don't think we'll be here too long because I don't think anyone is hanging out. I don't think anyone's doing anything. Let's see here. Let's see if the driver's working. Looks like it. Pressure working? Looks like it. Yeah, it's just hangout time. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna we got this doodle. I'm gonna do another pass of this drawing I did on Saturday, which, hey, shameless plug, probably gonna start streaming on Saturdays over on Picardo. Gonna draw on Saturdays. Please come. Please, I'm desperate. Please come. Nah, just kidding, you don't gotta. It's probably better if you don't. Make me less nervous. But I digress. Yeah, started this drawing, give it another pass. I'm not super happy with how it looks, but yeah, we'll fuss away with it. Right, I'm gonna go over here though, and I'm gonna start a Q&A session because no one ever told me before, ever, how to do one. Never ever. And let's see here. Oops. Pip? Wow. There we go. And now if I go back to chat, yeah, there it is. It's a great big thing right on the top. And I can probably just go and like unpin the other one. Yeah, I can just unpin the other one. There, cool. Oh, okay. Oops. Oops. Well, I just clicked something I probably shouldn't have, but whatever. We'll fix that in post. Maybe we'll fix it in post. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, go ahead and ask them. Questions pertaining to chapter 9 or 10, because that's what we talked about. They can just be questions in general. We'll run, I don't know. We definitely won't make it until 5:30. But I'll sit here and doodle for a while, and if things get tepid, which they will, unless like 8 people show up and want a party, then we'll probably just hang out for a little bit, do some doodles, and then call it a day. Call it a night. Until then, I'm going to draw. I'm going to draw a little bit. I didn't put any music on because of that fact. So I'll just try to sit here and provide sonic entertainment in the form of a tippy-tappy pen and my grating voice, so that the viewers at home aren't left in the lurch. Unless y'all want me to just start rambling about something. I could probably ramble about 1 or 2 things. Been known to ramble in my time. I've also been known to just go completely nonverbal and just stop talking because I'm tired. Generally, when I get tired, I just stop talking. And the joke's on you. I'm always tired. Just kidding, that's not a joke. But I am always tired. Insomnia, probably brought upon by a hereditary breathing issue, likely a deviated septum, but I'm not going to do anything about it because I've got other problems right now. Problems that I can't pay for because health insurance is a joke. Dude. Hand in pocket, hand out of pocket. I guess if she's just got her ropes on, then it should be out of pocket. Yeah, Teal wouldn't keep her hands in her pockets. That's uncouth. That's beneath her. Makes one look lazy, unprofessional. That ain't Teal. Teal's definitely not lazy, come on. Is this half elf lazy? No, ma'am. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Head's a little big. That head's a little big. I don't mean to throw shade, but this girl's neck is super far forward. It's not even that it's super far forward, it's just that that's how people are. People's necks, they're kind of gross. But that's not how I draw, so I don't know. I'm always kind of torn. Do I respect the anatomy, or do I butcher it for my own agenda? People do be weird. Ah, that was a big yawn. Sorry if the mic picked it up. I was trying really hard today to stifle them. Definitely less today than there was last week. I tried this week to illuminate my studio in a desperate attempt to find more energy in my recording. I don't know if it came across. I don't know if things seemed more energetic today. But I was trying. I tried to not be so sleepy for once. I don't know if it worked. Do not know if it worked. Do do do. Do do do. Do do do. Do 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 do. 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 Do 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 do. The mouths. The yawns aren't such a big deal in post. It's they're pretty easy to cut out. It's just I kind of feel bad when we're streaming and I'm yawning, like I'm I don't care about it. Like I'm just bored. I'm not bored. I'm just permanently tired. I'm just constantly sleepy. You see these eyes? You see these eyes? These eyes? Those ones? They're black and eepy, because I am eepy. And when you don't eat, you don't. I don't know where this is going. I'm too tired. I don't care anymore. I'm tired. I need a nap. Individual who constantly complains about needing a nap never takes a nap. Never ever takes a nap. Ah, there's another one. Yeah, they're coming on strong now. It's because I can't yap to stay awake. Um, Oops. See, I caught myself. I forgot to talk. I was forgetting to talk again. I'm not allowed to stop talking, because if I stop talking, why are you here? People don't come to streams if streamers don't talk. Just kidding. That's toxic. I don't believe in that. I can not talk if I want to. It's part of the vibe. Silence is part of the vibe. Every good conversation is sandwiched with silence. Sandwich. Wonder what's for dinner. I don't think it's sandwiches. Guess that means it's not burgers either. Darn. Oh well. 4 p.m. nap, 5 p.m. hunger. I'm just in a state. I'm in a state. I'm gonna go mad. Just call me Teal. Because I'm gonna go crazy. One of the things that gets me about drawing Teal is how thin her legs are. And honestly, I'm looking at these, I'm like, yep, they're still too meaty. Like, this girl just hasn't, she's got nothing. She's got nothing going for her. Like, would absolutely pull the stunt of, captured by a troll, captured by a giant, and go, you don't want to eat me? I'm nothing but skin and bones. And they'd actually look at her and go like, yeah, you're right. No, you can go. You weren't worth the effort. I'm sorry. It's like when you see a bug, like a bug with a clearly broken leg, and you're like, I don't want to hurt you anymore, actually. Or when you see a bug and the bug is just too small and you go, you're not worth eating. Need like a good candid teal mouth. I guess that's kind of it. Just like very neutral, which is something I don't really draw very often. Just like neutral expressions. There's a lot of kind of a bad stigma against, how dare you, like, oh, this pose is boring, that expression is boring. That's life, man. 90% of life is just cute little boring moments. That's just how it goes. Here's something I can ramble about. I've got to eat up 15 minutes and I'm drawing too much. I'm drawing too quickly. I was thinking today on my walk. I'll do like some illustrations while I talk. Oh, never mind. I'm going to talk about cars, which means I have to draw a car, which means I'm going to be in pain. I only know how to draw jags. I don't even know how to draw a jag. I just know they're boxy. Oh, that's way too long. Rim, tire, trunk. This is just starting to look like a Cybertruck. Whatever, that's what it's gonna be now. Thanks, I hate it. Yeah, that's awful. Anyways, I was thinking about cars today. I was thinking about cars because it's strange to me. It's strange to me as an individual who doesn't really drive that people fuss about cars so much. There's a lot of importance put on cars, that they're a big deal. That they're like, this is how society runs. Society runs on cars. And that's okay. That's just kind of like how the world works right now. But I got thinking, how, like a car is a big deal, but its primary function is to go, right? It takes someone from point A to point B, right? But quickly. But it does that speedy. It does that real fast. Right? Shoo, shoot. Come on, Si. There you go. Right? Which is good. It's like objectively okay. That is how beings are typically productive. They go fast. They get to the place fast. But that means that in essence, a car's primary function is movement. It is propulsion. It is acceleration. And I got thinking about it, and I was thinking, I'm a little box. I was on my walk. I was walking. And I was kind of, I was thinking, I had a little ball cap on because it's sunny out. Well, it was a snapback actually, because it was pretty sunny out. I also, well, technically I had sunglasses on, so hold on. I guess, yeah. Those look stupid. I guess they would just be taped to me, right? Yeah, they would. This is stupid. I like it. It was the one with the little emblem I sewed on it because it matched my shirt. I got like a red shirt on. It's got a leopard on it. I'm not drawing that. Anyways, I was walking along, and I got thinking about if a car's primary function is motion, doesn't that mean doesn't that mean that, yeah, I hit him with it. Doesn't that mean that, like, most of the time a car is not doing its primary function? Does that not mean that the thing, like, which is so integral for human society is generally not doing the thing we intend it to do? Isn't that kind of weird? Isn't that kind of strange that we put so much stress on how important driving is and how important cars are? But typically, cars are not in motion. Cars most often just sit around and wait for the one point where it's like, okay, I need it. I gotta go quick. I gotta go to the thing. Speedy. And then it's suddenly very integral. And so, I got thinking about it. I was like, yeah, how long does a car really last? You might get a good 5 years out of a car. You might think, okay, I got a good 5 years out of a car. You might get a good 10 years out of a car, but how much are you really driving that car? How much are you really using that car in that time? Is that car really lasting you 10 years? I don't think it is. I think that car is probably getting you like maybe 1 year of use. Whereas something like, and this is by no means a good comparison, but my laptop, the one I'm using right now, I've had it for about 4 years, and I basically use this thing like 8 hours a day, maybe, like some days. It gets a lot of use, right? And I've had it for 4 years, and I think, dang, that's pretty good. That's pretty darn good. This thing's on frequently. It's getting use. It is getting tortured, generally. Not tortured, honestly. I don't do much with this thing. I'm streaming with it right now. That's kind of a big deal. But it's been good. And I think, like, okay, wow, yeah, 4 years, that's good. 4 years at, like, pretty stable use. That's good. That's a solid machine. But people don't think about cars that way. And so I did some math. I got thinking about the math. I have some whacked out thoughts on my walks. And I also like doing math on my walks because it keeps my brain occupied. And the thing with walking is you have to achieve the perfect state of walk zen. Because then you can enjoy the walk and like absorb the surroundings while the walk doesn't take too long. Because if your brain's not on enough, the walk just takes too long. The walk just becomes a chore, and that's not what you want. You don't want the walk to be a chore. You want the walk to be engaging. So you have to give the mind a little something to think about, just enough. And so math is a good thing for that. Now, I'm not always doing math, but as an example. So I'm doing some math, and I got thinking, like, what's a good commute? What's a really good, like, what's a solid commute? And I got thinking, okay, well, somebody who drives to Toronto back and forth every day, that's like here. That's a big commute. That's like somebody really giving a lot of their life for their job. So it takes from where I live about an hour and a half to get to Toronto, give or take. And we're not going to adjust for traffic here because traffic in Toronto is ridiculous. But I got thinking, like, okay, let's say every day you spend 4 hours in the car because you're driving to Toronto and back. You're doing a round trip to Toronto, to TO. And so you spend 4 hours a day. Yeah, like so many people do that commute. So many people that's the reason there's like 800 lanes on our highways, because so many people do it. Because guess what? There's only one place to work. It's Toronto. Anyways, Canada rant over. Toronto's there, right? Let's say you're on the road. You're on the road for 4 hours a day. 4 hours per day. And we'll just say, right, you're obviously doing other things with your life. You're obviously going other places. You're not just using the car to go to work. Or maybe you are. I'm not judging you, but you're probably going other places. So, like, honestly, let's just say you're going to work 7 days. Like, you're doing 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right? So that means that every week you're spending 28 hours driving. Like, all right, that's not a small amount, but you factor that in. You factor that in, right? Like, we do a little more math here, and we start thinking like, okay, well, what is that? What's 4 hours of a day? 4 hours of a day is like 1/6. I think my math there is right. Yeah, 4 times 6 is 24. Right. Yeah. So you're spending 1/6 of every day driving. That means that the other 5/6 of the day, your car's doing nothing. Your car's just doing nothing. You know what that is as a percentage? This is where the math was. That's over 80%. That's over 80% of your car's life is spent doing nothing. Given like a solid 4-hour daily commute, your car spends over 80% of its life sitting around doing nothing. And here we are worshiping these vehicular monstrosities. Just give us some more lanes, please, Doug Ford. We just 4 more lanes, please. But it just boggles my mind. It boggles my mind that people look at vehicles and think, wow, there's the pinnacle of modern society, when you're not even using it. Think of like, instead, I'm doing it, I'm going there. Think of how much more use a train gets than this stuff. Sorry for the pause there. That was my dad, who needed to know if we were in fact going to be having breakfast sausages with our dinner, because he is very concerned whether or not we're just having omelets, or if we're having omelets and breakfast sausages and hash browns. We are. I said yes, of course we are. Who in the right mind would say no to breakfast sausages? I can think of a lot of people who have halal diets, or kosher diets. That's a lot of people. A lot of people would say no to that. But anyways, yeah, I'm going there. We're gonna, like, the train, right? Train supremacy. Think about how often a train is in use and is being useful, right? Think how often a train runs on a line, and like the train, right? Its primary purpose is to get people from point A to B. The purpose is to get a lot more people from point A to B, but typically speaking, it does that quite well. Typically, it gets quite a lot of people from point A to B. And even if you're talking like 50% capacity, right? Even if the train is half full, you're getting like probably hundreds of individuals from point A to B. You are like maximizing your usefulness, because guess what? As long as there's people on the train's purpose is being fulfilled. And when the train isn't running, which is very rarely, right? When does the train run and not bring people? Either it's getting maintenance or it's not in use. So if the train's running, it's getting maintenance to somewhere. They're shipping it somewhere to be fixed or to be updated. Otherwise, there's people inside, right? And like, honestly, even if the conductor, even if the engineer is hanging out here, in my books, as long as the engineer gets from point A to B, hell yeah, that's 100% efficiency. No more of this train crap, of this car crap, pardon me. We're talking full on, like, yep, that person got where they were going and the train is in motion, and any other time the train's running, it's fulfilling its purpose of moving people from point A to B pretty quickly. Or like bicycles, right? I shouldn't say that. Bicycles sit around quite frequently, but trains don't really sit around. That's what I'm trying to get at. Trains really only zip around because people need to use them. It's very infrequently that a train's just sitting at a station or sitting at a depot. And if it is, it's probably because it's not working. If a train is working, it's being useful. If a car is standing still, it's just because somebody doesn't want to use it right now. All I'm trying to say here, folks, the end of this rant, is that you should stop using your car so much. Invest in public transportation, 15-minute cities, all of that, all the socialist crap you fascists don't want to hear about. You're wrong. It's right. Just put bus routes at places, please, and put more train lines in Canada, please. Please. I really need a costume for like exasperation. But anyways, let's tack on some last features here. It's 5 o'clock now. My rant successfully wasted about 15 minutes, and we can happily just, you know, end the stream here. I can happily end it. I did my due diligence, and no one's gonna tell me I didn't, unless somebody wants to tell me I didn't. But I might cry. I might cry if that's the case. We really didn't even get like a good and we didn't really even get into the sketch very well. That's okay. These things happen. This wasn't really like an intensive stream. This was a pretty chill stream today. And that's good. That's fine. Chill streams are nice. Just like the stream I'm gonna have on Saturday. Swing by Picardo / Toothy Draws on Saturday. I'm definitely cutting this part from the video, because then you can watch me draw. Nope, I don't have my pen out, do I? I'm doing all of this with my mind. Boop, just kidding. It's right here. You just you couldn't see it. I was drawing in the middle of the screen. Boop, 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 boop. You couldn't see it. I digress. Another faux pas on my part. Why don't you just keep piling them on, Robin? Just keep letting people know how dumb I am. They don't need your help. They already know. They know how dumb I am. It is blatantly apparent. What was I saying? Stream Saturday. Come by. Come hang out if you want. I'll probably draw. Saturday's gonna just be a goof around stream because it's on Picardo and I don't have to be professional. What question? What question? Huh? Which question? Did you put it in the thing? Did you Wow, okay, that is the worst layout ever. I apologize for that. YouTube's layout is garbaggio. Where is it in the regular chat? It doesn't put it in the regular chat. Does it put it in live chat? Hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Is it in live chat? This is the ultimate test. No, it isn't. Whoa, okay. We now know that YouTube's Q&A system is a big poopy. Because it doesn't ping me at all. It doesn't ping me at all if you actually ask a question. So that sucks. Let's quick do this question before we wrap up. A question. Who's that question? It literally puts it under the questions tab. It makes like a questions tab, and then it puts it under that tab, and it like omits it from the other chats. So unless I have this questions tab open, I don't see the question come up. I'll show it off here. Select the question. So I selected the question, and now it's in. Now everyone gets to see it. I'll still read it off. I'll still read off the question. Robin asks, "You're not getting a follow-up question. Don't be greedy." Robin asks, "In regards to Teal's dislike of being touched, is this only towards other people touching her, or does it include items of clothing and other miscellaneous things like animals?" Teal is a weirdo. Obviously, it's not cloth, as she is generally dressed. I don't know if it would extend to animals. I don't think it's things. It's not the sensation of being, like, of physical contact. It's not, like, she's not going to feel the wind and shiver. She's not going to go, ew, gross. The wind. Would she want bugs on her? No. Nope, don't want bugs. Would she want, like, a cat on her? Probably not without consent, right? I think a big thing for Teal is its consent. Like, for Teal to pet a cat, sure, Teal can pet a cat. For a cat to come up and, like, rub up against Teal's leg, that might be a little more questionable. Teal might get, like, a little, like, oh, I didn't ask for that. Like, you, whoa, hold on a minute. But, like, to take that a step further, for her to, yeah, it's most, like, it's 90% other people. Maybe less than that. Like, it does extend to other things like animals, but that's hard to say, right? That's like a bias, because how often does one come into physical contact with animals? Probably not very often. But for Teal, it's more like an idea of, I don't want to touch the other person. For example, like, you know, taking a coffee, like if she ordered a coffee and someone's holding it out to her, Teal would, like, it would just be like, oh, haha, just put it down, please. Or Teal would grab it in a way that mitigates physical human contact. If somebody were to, like, hold out their hand to Teal, expecting a shake, Teal would just straight up, like, nope, no thanks. Teal would just, like, go for the bow, which is more culturally relevant for her. But she would just come, like, she knows how this works. She's not stupid. She just does not. She's not touching you. She's not touching. Robin wants, there's a follow-up question that isn't in the chat here, but Robin's asking about the ring, about Teal's, her ring, and the connection between that and her feeling it. I think the big thing there is stuff like that, right? Items on her person probably don't bother her. Once again, as long as they're, like, consensual. It isn't like she notices the ring and goes, gross, what's that doing on me? It's not like she notices the amulet and wants to rip it off. She's not sitting there ruminating on her hat, right? Once she notices it, she's just, like, things, especially apparel, are just kind of like, okay, sure, those can be on me. I don't mind that. In fact, she probably prefers it because it is a barrier. These things act as a barrier. I don't think, how do I want to put this? With regards to Teal kind of figuring out that the ring's there, as, like, Robin mentions, an ever-present item, an ever-present feeling. I think honestly, it's like wearing clothes throughout the day. Like Teal just wouldn't notice it, especially given this what we talked about in chapter 9 here, where Teal notices the ring. Teal's like, oh, that's there. What is this? This has been under my glove. That's weird. Like, she's probably just so used to having this ring on that she doesn't even notice. She's completely forgotten about the weight, about the sensation, about like having a thing on the base of her finger. She just totally is, probably after this chapter, there might be a bit where she's thinking about it a lot and she notices the weight and she maybe thinks about how that's making her uncomfortable. But the fact that she knows it's an important thing and she doesn't really want to get rid of it, she doesn't want to just dumpster this ring because she knows it's kind of important to her, or she feels as though it's pretty important to her. That's not gonna just happen, you know. She's not just gonna ditch the ring. But yeah, it's not, the weight of it or anything isn't bothering her. In fact, she's largely ignored it until now. But yeah, to surmise, mostly just like being touched unconsensually, which is, in Teal's mind, 90% of being touched by other beings. Probably doesn't want to be touched by animals, but that's such like a niche thing that it's more of an edge case, I guess. Yeah, Teal wouldn't really be... Teal's not handing out fist bumps. Teal's not giving a... Teal is like the opposite of a hugger. Teal will go out of her way to not be hugged. Teal will like actively avoid you like a star rugby player to like get out of a hug. You ain't ever seen this girl wiggle. You ever tried you know when you go and you pick up, you like try to pick up a cat and the cat just wiggles. The cat just like expertly wiggles away from your grasp. That's basically Teal. Teal's basically just a very wiggly cat. Cannot be caught. She does not want, she does not permit, she does not consent. Ergo, she leaves. And this becomes a big point later on in the book, right? That's why we have to build it now in chapter 9, so that later on in the book, I think even that one, it becomes important. It is a big deal. And then afterwards, it's another big deal when she has like a bad reaction. I think even there's a reaction in 22 that she's like, I don't like that. And there's even a bit in 20 where a thing happens, which is a big deal. Because she is being touched / talking about touching / dealing with the repercussions of touch. And hence why this big weirdo is always wearing gloves, so that she can kind of like circumvent that a little bit. Even though like generally she prefers to avoid it, that's why the gloves are on, so that she can interact with people and the world around her. Because, you know, even sometimes, like, I don't know, I imagine touching certain things for Teal is kind of a bother. Like you said, certain miscellaneous things. Like, I don't know, I can see Teal kind of getting put off by touching paper or cold metal or certain fabrics. Like, Teal would be the kind of picky idiot that is like, oh, linen? Gross. Linen is clingy. No. This silk hasn't been thinned and glossened? Yuck. It feels foul on my fair skin. But yeah, that's Teal. Thanks for the question. I think that is the only question / follow-up question. Once again, I apologize. I didn't know YouTube was just going to omit the question from the feed and put it in a different feed that I that I can't keep my eye on the other feed, because then I can't see what chat is talking about. So in the future, please just tag me, just ping me in the chat, and I'll try to keep an eye on it for your questions. We will no longer be using the Q&A feature because it kind of sucks. But with that, I rambled once again for another 15 minutes, and it's 5:15. And we did a bit of doodles, and we talked a bit, and we answered a question about Teal being weirdly touchy. She's a touchy individual. And hopefully that was insightful. Hopefully this has been good information on Chapter 9 and Chapter 10. We went over both chapters. Chapter 9 needs some work, needs to establish some ideas that are important going forward. But otherwise has a pretty good structure to it. Just needs a bit of work, needs some work on the flow especially, and needs to give more time and space for Teal and the Oracle to flex as characters, to take up space. Chapter 10 is just going to be rewritten because Teal doesn't like being touched, and Chapter 10 is all about dancing and intimate contact, which now doesn't make any sense. So that's got to be readdressed. However that goes about, I'm not sure. That's a problem for the future, but I'll figure it out when I get there. I'm not drawing anymore. I can put this down. We will reconvene next week, next Tuesday at 3 p.m. That is Tuesday, September the 17th at 3 p.m. to discuss Chapter 11 and maybe Chapter 12. Chapter 11 is once again quite short. It's about as long as Chapter 10. Chapter 12, however, is a little meatier. We'll have to see. I think we could probably fit both into one episode, but like I just said, now that I'm thinking about it, actually, I've already done the notes up for Chapter 12, and there's quite a lot to change, so maybe not. It might just be Chapter 11 next time. But regardless, tune in next Tuesday to hang out, talk about my book, watch some drawing, and just listen to a big idiot dum-dum box talk too much. If you're interested, we're holding streams on Saturdays now. I don't know when. It's kind of a gimme on Saturday, but it will be sometime on Saturday. Dang, that yawn got me mid-sentence. It'll be sometime on Saturday. I'm thinking maybe the morning, and if not the morning, then probably around now-ish. Might just be for a couple hours, similarly to this one. Saturday stream is just going to be kind of fun and games. We might just draw, we might just goof off. There's some RPG stuff I want to look at, some tabletop RPG. MCDM dropped their backer kit playtest volume. And actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to stream it. I don't think I'm not allowed to stream it. There wasn't like a non-disclosure agreement. In fact, I have a feeling they want people to stream it. But we might go through that and look at like character creation. We might just sit here and listen to music. Picardo's cool. You can just vibe. They don't really care. They try to shill you into premium, but that's about it. We might just sit here and read. Honestly, I might just read my book. I might just sit here and do more notes. We got plenty to do, but Saturday's cool. We're just gonna hang out. Swing by if you got time. But otherwise, thanks again for stopping by. I appreciate it. Hopefully this has been as enlightening for everyone else as it has been for me. And as always, I hope you all have a good rest of your whatever. Because that'd make me pretty happy. That'd make me feel good if you had a good whatever. But yeah, thank you once again, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.